Brilliant. Thank you, David. Well, I'm excited for our topic today because we're going to be talking about the wisdom of the body, focusing a lot on movement. And at the end, we'll be sharing with you 5 empowering wellness tips too. So, welcome, dear listeners, to our first episode of the Holistic Academy, where we're bridging ancient wisdom and modern wellness. So, what if I told you that the single most revolutionary fitness tip you'll ever hear isn't from a recent scientific research paper, nor is it from a fitness instructor on Instagram, but it's actually about 2,500 years old? So let's just sit here as a moment, and I like to just, think about our life, and reflect sometimes. So think about your life right now and think about your mind, because I can really relate to this. But have you ever felt like your mind and body are on separate teams, and that your brain is running a marathon with 1,000 tabs open and your body is just stuck in a chair begging for attention? My mind is always chaotic and crazy every day. I sit in my desk doing my job as well. So I find that I also am quite disconnected from my mind and body. So when we were researching about this topic, it was really exciting because we want to start looking into the past and then talking about the present and the scientific principles, a bit about science and also about modern medicine, and then also where we can look to in the future. So how was health and the wisdom of the body for people living 2,500 years ago in the past? I love learning about the ancient Greeks, and they would have thought that separating the body and mind was such a crazy idea. They had so many different concepts, but one particular one is called paideia, which was about educating the entire person. So their goal was not to create just scholars or just athletes, but it really wanted to shape a well-rounded, balanced citizen. So in ancient Greece, the learning center was called the gymnasium. And it's much more than a sports center that it has become today. It was a place not only for physical training, of course, but also for education and social life. So I find that really fascinating that young men were training their bodies through athletics, but at the same time they studied philosophy, music, and rhetoric, which is the art of persuasion. And this was the basis of their education, which they aimed to form this concept called arete, which was excellence or virtue. So everything was connected and intertwined. So I think it's a much better approach to education, and the Greeks really felt that physical strength was combined with mental clarity, and it was important to learn about moral character in the gym. So we know this phrase at the moment, but it's a motto from the Greeks: a sound mind in a sound body. I'm not very good at the moment at exercising, so it's reminding me to get back out there and move a lot. But a sound mind in a sound body was their entire educational philosophy. So it all was combined together. So having a healthy body really supported that idea of having a disciplined mind, and vice versa. A disciplined mind supported having a healthy body. So I know from my educational background that one of the original meanings of the word school, skol in Greek, means leisure. And similarly to the gym, do you think maybe public education centres was just going to the gym as part of their daily leisure and basically took place in the leisure centre? I think it would be a much cooler way to do education, but I do think the discipline, it was very rigorous and a lot of hard work. But if you think the Greeks really believed in the whole person and this idea of having both intelligence and beauty. So it was really important for them to focus on everything as a holistic principle. Now, I really like Aristotle, but there are some other famous Greek philosophers that we will be covering along our journey. And he liked to refer to the peripatetic principle, also known as the peripatetic axiom, which is a principle from Aristotle stating that nothing is in the intellect that was not first in the senses. So we need to sense our intelligence, which is a little bit different from school today. But Aristotle is amazing in my eyes. He even became a founder of the peripatetic school, where he loved philosophizing while walking. So imagine schools now, we're all set at desks. Why aren't we outside, moving our bodies, thinking, philosophizing, discussing, questioning things? This in philosophy is known as an empiricist idea, which refers to the importance of sensory experience and knowledge. When we're born, we sense the world with our senses. We don't know language, and that's how we learn. So schools today, we're learning all from desks and sitting on worksheets and paper. I think it's to do with the Industrial Revolution, and then after that, having a lot more people work in offices. But anyway, going back to this philosophical concept of the empiricist idea, it had been later adopted and evolved by many different philosophers, including David Hume. And he suggested that all concepts as well are derived from our sensory impressions. So I really resonate much more with this mode of learning, accompanied by movement. So that's a little bit about the past and the ancient Greeks.
I love that deep dive into these ancient traditions, Amy. I love learning about the past, the Greeks, and thank you very much for those insights and for that short journey that we shared a little bit. And I also think that we need to explore the past verses and the past way of relating our senses with knowledge today, because we certainly have lost a lot of touch with how we sense. And I think and I perceive that many of the young people that are going to the school, they don't even engage their senses. They get lost into the noise and the repetition of things, and not allowing them to share their own ideas many times, and just memorizing passages or things that they don't even know what they are good for. So, in terms of how our society perceives exercise today, it's also a way that has lost touch with how we should see exercise or physical movement. And I find that what you said was so powerful, since we often treat exercise like a punishment or a chore. And many people just get turned off when they listen to the word exercise, because they feel that kind of pressure to do something that they will sweat and they will have to spend hours and hours in the gym. And that's not the concept at all. The world of fitness can often feel intimidating or exclusive, focus on a certain look and highlighting these standards to an extreme level of performance. But it's something that we have to fit in to burn off calories or to make up for sitting all day. So we have been taught to live from the neck up, completely forgetting that our body has its own intelligence. And we have separated many times the mind and the body. And frankly, both are suffering because of this separation, because we have lost that ancient sense of integration and wholeness, and people could be having so many insights and mental clarity from combining the two, deep thought and exercise. And that's something that I can relate a lot, because I used to do it. I used to apply these kind of concepts in terms of many times trying to go to the gym, trying to do some kind of physical activation before an exam. And it worked for me like magic, because my brain was like lighting up all these memory circuits and all these substances that are going to be activated with exercise. So that is what modern science says now. So it's truly so cool and exciting that modern science is finally proving what those ancient philosophers and physicians knew instinctively. And they practice that. So even though they didn't have any of the technology that we have nowadays, well, they knew it and they live it. So we now know about neuroplasticity, and we have a lot of studies that show that physical exercise, especially activities like walking or dancing or swimming can actually help our brain to grow new connections and learn better and release one of the most important factors or neurotransmitters and protective agents that is called brain derived neurotrophic factor. So this BDNF is one of the most important substances, and I have mentioned that in my own podcast and in my own platforms several times because it's one of the substances that now we have a lot of evidence that is protecting our brains from many diseases. So researchers from Unicamp in Brazil found that twice weekly strength training guards you against dementia, demonstrating results of improved memory, white matter integrity, and hippocampal structure in older adults with mild cognitive impairment. So amazingly, even reversing symptoms in some cases. And other scientists have identified this protein that I mentioned already, this BDNF, and they think of it as this fertilizer of our brains and the cells in our brains. And they even have proof that it regenerates the production of neurons. And guess what is the trigger to release this kind of substance? Well, physical activity or exercise. So it literally helps you think more clearly. And that's why you remember things better once you activate your body because you engage the two systems and you allow your body to have this connection that we are going to talk further along, that this mind body is extremely important. So there is also one gut brain axis, where recent research has demonstrated a powerful connection between our gut health, which is our bacteria in the gut, and which is influenced by diet and exercise and our mental health, affecting everything from mood to anxiety and to even leading you to depression if you don't have a good gut health.
That's super cool because, yeah, knowing that knowledge, I try and eat better foods for my gut health, like some kombuchas, is it called? And yogurts and this thing called kefir. But I know exactly, it's really important that relationship with our mind, our body, and our gut and what we eat. So it's really clear, as you were saying, that the science also matches the ancient Greeks, and that mind body connection is truly like innate and really biological. And we're one whole system, an integrated system, not separate.
Mhm.
However, even though that's proven in the science, I have a little inkling that there is a different story in modern medicine. And I really feel that when I go to the doctor tries to detach or divorce our physical symptoms from our mind and potentially just recommending pills to numb our pain and ignoring those wise bodily signals, or just, acknowledging that we've been through a difficult time and we need to process it and untangle it in our minds. So, yeah, what's the story in modern medicine then? Do you agree?
Yes, I completely agree that these nowadays physicians have completely forget about knowing the body, and now they are just, for me, this is personal opinion, many times they are technical medical assistants that they just memorize the disease and the symptom and then the pharmaceutical drug to recommend you. So that's what I have seen in many cases. So it's a very great question that we really can relate now to one of the ancient Greeks, also René Descartes' ideas that are root on how modern Western medicine developed. In fact, he was the guy who said, I think, therefore I am, and severing the connection between the body and the mind in Western modern medicine. This was the first time that was separated, and now we are going to see how it will be linked together. So the body came to be studied like a machine, dissected, measured, analyzed, separated completely from what we were feeling from these sensory systems. And disease was framed as a mechanical failure of organs, of tissues, or chemistry, independent of the mind or the spirit. And that's why many years along that separation, that's where also people that were not even allowed to feel anything, because feeling was seen as a sign of weakness. So medicine focused on the physical body just, while psychology and psychiatry only emerged centuries later to understand that we also needed to recognize the importance and the relevance of our feelings. So that is how Western medicine evolved to have a reductionist view and treat these physical symptoms and organs in isolation.
I love Descartes, indeed. I think he's a little bit more modern, though. He's a 17th century French philosopher and scientist. So they even call him the father of modern philosophy. So we take a lot of ideas from him without realizing that the ancient Greeks probably understood the way that we work better. It's also interesting to see how the history of both our own country developed and also other places in the world. So I guess through the journey, we'll delve deeper into different countries and different cultures and look at how different parts of medicine has been born and also changed over the years. But I can resonate with you. It has separated. And is there like a more holistic view of medicine that we could think about nowadays?
Yeah, I think that nowadays this holistic word is gonna be resonating a lot with many people. And we could look just at the example of ancient medicine, Chinese medicine, that consider how emotions, stress, relationships, and environment affect our health. So for Chinese medicine, health was integrated as one whole system, and it was never seen as separate parts, organs, tissues, but it was an interconnected system of energy, blood, mind, and spirit. And every organ system has both a physical function and a psychological or emotional dimension. And we can also relate to these kind of concepts because nowadays, in modern times, not long ago, Louise Hay spoke about those concepts, and she related a lot of these kind of feelings and a lot of this kind of trauma that we suffer many times from our childhood experiences to how we develop these kind of diseases. And when you read what she says, I think that you understand completely where many diseases come from. So, for example, the liver is linked with anger, the lungs is linked with grief, and the kidneys with fear. So they believe in balance and not isolation. Illness is explained through the imbalance of the yin and the yang, or disharmony in the flow of the chi force, the life force. And the diagnosis looks at the patterns of the whole person, the tongue, the pulse, the complexion, the emotions, the lifestyle, and not just as a symptom of in isolation, not just as something that has to be repaired with a pill. So health was not only about the body, but about the alignment with nature and the seasons. So we have these kind of fluctuations in our own health, and we many times we have to adapt when we finish a season and we enter into another one, and we feel that our body is reacting in a different way. So ancient doctors saw humans as part of this larger natural rhythm that we should follow, affected by climate, by diet, by emotions, and by our social life.
Wow, I love that. That is really holistic and looking at lots of different dimensions and aspects. I think I need to get myself to seeing an ancient Chinese doctor or traditional Chinese medicine practitioner because I think they really take that body the mind, body, and spirit, and the environment and the wholeness of someone seriously. And it sounds like it's all important for our health. Is there anything else that's important about Chinese medicine worth mentioning as well? Because I do think they're really great at taking that holistic perspective when it comes to health and wellness.
Yes, they also believe in this concept of prevention over cure. So it's much more important to be aware of how our body is feeling in the present time and not expecting to be declining. So trying to take care of our bodies is extremely important and not just waiting until it gives you the symptoms. Because once you have symptoms, it's because your body is already yelling at you, trying to make your attention wake up again and to feel gratitude for what it's doing. So the highest form of medicine was to prevent illness by keeping this balance through diet, through exercise, for example, like Qigong or Tai Chi, meditation, and seasonal living. A famous saying in classical Chinese text says that the superior doctor prevents illness, the inferior doctor treats illness. So nowadays we have many inferior doctors, let's just say. And we have in these Chinese ancient traditions the mind body unity. Unlike the Descartes, who split mind up from body, traditional Chinese medicine saw Shen, spirit mind, as inseparable from the body. Emotional disturbances could weaken the body, and physical imbalance could cloud the mind.
Wow, Chinese science and medicine is mind blowing. I love it. So much has shifted in my knowledge from this conversation today and learning about these topics already. Thank you, David. And before we go, everyone, I'd love to share 5 super wellness tips to easily integrate them into your daily life as well from the knowledge we've learnt today. So, the first one that I'd like to share, I don't know if it's easy for anyone else to say it, but it's the peripatetic principle. So this is what Aristotle did, and taking a cue from his walking school, maybe if you're on a phone call or on a meeting, see each day whether you could yourself try to walk around your office or the block or your living room, or maybe just make it essential that you have a daily mental health walk, which is something that I try and do. The next wellness tip, the second one I'd like to recommend, is to prescribe your own movement. So, you know, that movement is medicine. So thinking about, instead of saying I've got to do exercise or I have to work out, you know, we just need to move our body. It's one of our basic needs: eat, sleep, and move. So how could you make it more simple? Maybe you could say, I get to take my medicine that keeps my mind and my body healthy. So seeing that self-care is more of an act of self-care than that punishment or chore that we know about. The other part that, you know, a third sort of wellness tip could be the 5-minute reset. This is something that's really cool and I've used quite a bit in my life. This is when you might feel mentally stuck or really stressed out and you don't know what to do. Just set a timer for 5 minutes. Take a time out. You could get up, you could stretch, you could just sit down. But as we recommend, it'd be nice just to do some gentle movement. Maybe move your head around, your shoulders, your hips. Maybe stretch, dance to your favorite song, do some jumping jacks. I find actually, if I'm in a mood to get out of your mood, it's a good idea to groove. I just made that up, I promise you. So anyway, another sort of wellness tip as well, which I also think is really important, and I only started to do it in the last few years, is listen to the whispers. So our body is always talking to us. When I have a headache, I ask my body, what is it telling me? And often it's telling me I'm dehydrated or I need sleep or I ate something bad. So listen to the whispers. Your body's always talking to you. As I said, even in our body, a stiffness or feeling tired, don't ignore those whispers until they become a scream and it's all too late. And you might then experience potentially an injury or burnout. So really try and, listen to that body, reintegrate that relationship. And if you do feel tired, maybe try some gentle movement and it might in fact energize you. So my fifth tip is not just to move, but to be mindful. So remember, the Greeks combined our mind and our moving and our physical bodies. So being mindful, what does that mean when you move? So maybe doing a workout, let's say we're doing 10 sit-ups. For 1 minute of this workout, see if you can close your eyes and instead of thinking, oh my goodness, I need to do 10, what am I doing? Am I going to make it to the end? My body hurts. Really just feel your body instead and focus on what feels like. Wow, my muscles are tensing there and oh, I feel the movement in my hips going up and down. So really just feeling those muscles, how they engage, maybe feeling our feet on the ground. This will redevelop that mind body connection. And I have tried to do this with running before, in fact. And you forget that you're even running, right? Because you're more in tune with, oh, how do I feel? And oh, my legs actually still have some energy to keep going. That's cool, isn't it? Rather than, oh, this is exhausting. So, anyway, those would be my 5 top wellness tips from all the knowledge and cool insights that we shared today.
Thank you, Amy. That was wonderful to listen to these kind of practical and very short tips that we can apply to our own lives and to also create this mind body connection that many times we lose due to these distractions, noise, and all of these things that are happening nowadays. So I think I will try that one tomorrow, closing the eyes and doing one mindful movement or many mindful sequence movements, and try to feel more what is happening in my body. So I'll be honest, my view of how I perceive this kind of connection and wisdom, because the key word in this whole episode that we wanted to transmit and convey to you was the word wisdom. Wisdom is not just only in the mind, it's also in the body, and it's a connection that we are developing, and this has completely changed the landscape that we nowadays see. I used to be all about the numbers and how many reps or how many miles or how many calories or the time that I spent in the gym, and I saw my body as a machine that I had to push. And just some weeks ago, I even had one complaint of my body that was too much, and I needed to get off from this track system of just counting the numbers or the time that I spent. So nowadays, however, I after diving into this history and science, I see it as a conversation. My future vision for wellness isn't about pushing harder now. It's about feeling more my body and listening smarter to my body and to these whispers that you mentioned, Amy. It's extremely important that when these whispers come, that we listen to them instead of waiting for the yelling or for the complaint. And it's about integration and not separation. I want to be as physical and mentally strong as the Greeks now. And
Absolutely, me too. Come on, bring it on.
so thank you, dear listeners, because we have come to an end. This is the first episode. This is the launching of our Holistic Academy, of our podcast, of many things that we are preparing for you, because as we mentioned, we are really committed to deliver to you a new way to educate your mind, to educate your body, and to educate even your soul. So we'll be coming back with more of these kind of values, more of this kind of wisdom from the ancient times that we can deliver now. And thank you so much for joining us today as we explore the incredible wisdom of our bodies and how movement, rest, and listening to our own signals can transform our health and our minds. And I hope that we leave you inspired to honor your body as the smartest intuitive system that truly is.
Exactly. Thank you, David. And please, if anyone has any curious questions, please ask them in the comments or please share any highlights from what you've watched today, any golden nuggets of wisdom, or maybe your favorite wellness tip. And you're right, next week we'll have another episode. I'm excited to get ready and prepare for that. We're going to go much deeper with curiosity unleashed and the power of asking why. We're going to be looking probably at why, I guess, curiosity isn't just a trait, but we can use it as a tool for growth, for discovery, for lifelong learning. So I just encourage you to bring some questions, your wonder, your curiosity, and let's explore how asking why can transform your mind, just like listening to your body can transform your health.
Yeah, I'm excited for this next time. And we remind you that we are going to launch many of this content in here in Facebook. We are going to also share it in LinkedIn, and we are also opening a Substack platform that you can follow us. And we will post the link below and all of the contact details for us so that we can see you in our next episode. Thank you very much for your attention. And we really encourage you to join us every week with new nuggets of wisdom.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you. Bye.